What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Blind Tiger Collective podcast. We are excited that you're here. I am Terry Bargy, one of your hosts, and I am here with some famous female celebrities in the bourbon industry. One you already know, CPH, Christy Pruitt-Haynes is here, as always. And then we have Kat Scalf today. Hey, Kat, how you doing?
How's it going?
Good. We're glad you're here. She was a very good sport and hopped on this podcast very last minute. So we were, and this is you might be our first guest. I think you are
I think
our first
so.
guest. So,
Well, Christy always gets to be guest of honor, and then I'll be just the first, surprise guest is what that'll be. It speaks more to me not having a life most nights, probably, Terry, honestly. Most nights, if you ask me if I'm free, the answer is yes. What else would I be doing?
well, for the sake of our listeners or viewers, it is a Tuesday night, so there's not a lot going on
Yes.
a Tuesday night. Not in early April anyway. So, either way, Kat, we're excited that you're here, and I'm excited to interview both of you collectively, because I want to talk about women in whiskey. I want to talk about what you guys, what you do, your experiences in the industry and out and about. I know there's some stories there, so we want some hot takes is what we want, right? We want that content. So
Ready
before
for
we
it.
do that, let's get into what we're drinking. And normally we say ladies first, and it's Christy's usually the only one here in the room that's a lady. So we're gonna start. It's gonna be tricky. So I'm gonna start with Christy, and then we'll go Kat. Let's talk about what you're drinking. Christy,
Perfect.
what you got? I know you might have an encounter with this, so try to rein it in. We'll save that part
So
for
I
later.
actually have, this one is not my encounter. This is leading up to a future encounter. Then the second bottle that I already know I'm going to switch
Okay.
to about halfway, that's about the encounter. So we're keeping
Okay.
it fun
Love it.
today. So right now I am drinking a bit of Stable Reserve. So they are out of Franklin. And it's because it's almost Derby time. So I am in like full on Kentucky Derby mode. And I have a really cool event coming up with the Derby that I'm doing in conjunction with them. So that was a great time to pull this out. And if y'all have not been to their tasting room in Franklin, it is super cute. And I will say, and Terry, you will know how monumental this is. I am going on record to say I found a gin that I actually like, and it is their gin. So that is like the highest praise for a gin, because I usually think all gin tastes a little bit like soap and a lot like sadness. But this one is so incredibly delicious. It really is.
A
Like,
bit like sadness.
yeah, yeah.
Christy, you've had some bad gin.
I have.
That's awesome.
I typically don't love gin, but theirs is really good. But right now I'm sipping on their bourbon. This is actually their wheated bourbon. They have a high rye bourbon as well. And it's because it's got a horse on it, y'all. It's Kentucky Derby season. We got to get ready for it.
Let's go. It's
Yes.
coming right up. When is the Derby?
May 2nd.
Weekend of the
May 2nd. Goodness.
Yep.
I assume you you have your big hat ready to rock and roll too. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. It's phenomenal. It is gorgeous, and you will see it. Hopefully you all can both make it to the event we're doing over at Single Malt. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, start dusting off your seersucker and linen and all of that and get ready.
We're doing it. We'll plug that at the end. I'm interested to hear about that event. So, Kat, what you got over there? What are you drinking?
Well, I actually, Christy is more ready for the Derby than I am, and I'm in fact going this year for the first time, and so I need to get ready. But I'm actually getting to go with my first client with my new company, Jackson Purchase Distillery, and that is what I'm sipping on today. So I have been hired on by them, fantastic company, to bring them into Tennessee and Georgia. So I'm just kind of getting my feet wet, and we're having our distribution discussions this week, but I am going to be bringing this fantastic product. It is spearheaded by Craig Beam of Heaven Hill fame, as well as Terry Ballard from Willett. So like collectively about 70 years and several generations of whiskey experience between these guys. This is This is called their batch number 1. It is going to be under a little bit different of a name when it comes to Tennessee, but it's a big boy, 117 proof. But man, it is delicious and easy drinking. And we're going to do our favorite noise.
There you go.
There it is.
Yes.
Pop the cork. Pop the cork. We
well, I
had
can
a
give
meeting
you all
last
kind
week. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Christy.
Terry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, as I said, we had a meeting last week, and she previewed this out of her purse, but we were at a place where it's probably frowned upon to have a pour. But now, after seeing it the second time, now I really want it.
I know that the sample bottle's getting pretty low, so I definitely got to get you a little sip of it. It's getting a lot of good feedback, and it's got a ton of good traction in Kentucky already. So I'm excited to bring it for you guys to get to try in person.
Very cool. And I can give you all kind of Kentucky Derby tips. So I'm usually at Derby every year. This will be the first year I haven't gone in a while because I will be heading to my daughter's graduation right after. And that is so much more important than any horse race. But I can fill you in and get you ready for Derby. It's a fun weekend. Don't plan on sleeping. That's the bottom line. No sleep.
I don't plan on much of that.
Yes.
No. I'm more concerned with footwear is kind of my biggest concern right now. So my liver and footwear, that's the two main things.
Two very important things. One may be slightly more important than the other.
And really cool tennis shoes.
There we go. I'm drinking a go-to, and it's a single barrel proof rye by our good friends over at Jack Daniels. It's a bit hot for as warm as it is outside. It's 139 proof. But I just love it. It's so good. Is that
in honor of Joe?
Yeah, who one day will be back on this podcast. He's busy rearing children. So, Kat, to fill you in, and everyone at home who's listening, is our good buddy Joe Beecroft, who's on this podcast. He had his second child, so that is why he's been MIA for a little while. So, congratulations to Joe and his family on that. That's a big deal. And I guess we'll let him off. We'll let him off for that.
They're his priorities, guys, I tell you.
Yeah, we're his priorities. I'm excited to get into having a little conversation with you ladies. I would like to start, Christy. I happen to notice on social media that you got a troll. You had a troll in you, telling you something that was asinine. Would you like to fill the people in?
Yes, I can tell you the quote because I remember it because it was so stupid. And this was not my first troll. I have had, and it's always men. Terry, I don't know what's up with y'all. It's always been men, and it's usually some man who feels the need to either educate me or save me from myself. So the number of men who have told me things like, well, that isn't actually a bourbon because in order for it to be bourbon, it has to be made in Kentucky and right at 100 proof. I love those idiotic comments so I can educate. I take that as a moment to say, you know what? You are wrong, and here are the 15 different reasons you're wrong. But this particular guy, he commented on a post, and it's where I was pairing a whiskey and a cigar, which y'all know those are my two loves. So his comment was, I don't like it when women who smoke cigars are disgusting because it makes them smell. So my response was, first of all, how can we look disgusting if it makes us smell? Like, that doesn't even make sense. You can say we smell disgusting, but that doesn't make us look disgusting. Secondly, does it somehow not affect men? Like, does whatever odor cigars create, is it not sticking to men? Is that like our superpower? And then, I wrapped up with, thank you so much for letting us know who you are and how you think so we can avoid you out there. For some reason, he's not responded back. Like that, I was hoping for him to respond back so we would have this whole witty repartee kind of back and forth thing. He hasn't said anything else, but it is one of those stereotypes that men who smoke cigars are cool and women who smoke cigars are either disgusting or manly or something like that. And then the flip side of it is women who smoke cigars are sometimes overly sexualized. So you're going to get one or the other. And then you often get the same thing with bourbon. I literally had a guy tell me he couldn't date anybody who drank bourbon, or woman who drank bourbon, because, that's going to basically turn you into a man and put hair on your chest. And he never got the privilege to see my chest, but I can assure you there is no hair here. Like, I promise you, there is no hair here. But it's one of the things we face, and it is steeped deeply in the tradition of these industries in some ways. And I've even seen this come from women sometimes, which, again, we are all socialized in the same way. And I had one woman say to me, I didn't know women drank bourbon. And she wasn't being rude. She was literally being curious. And I was like, oh, there's
Sure.
so many of us. There are entire organizations devoted to women drinking bourbon. So yeah, unfortunately, it's a common thing. I have fun with it now. I figure this is just it. I treat it like clickbait. It's something to run my social media numbers up. So I'm a fan of it. But it
Oh, yeah.
can be annoying, and it can be extremely disheartening. And it's one of those things that we've got to walk away from it. And brands need to walk away from it, because women are the fastest growing demographic. While we're seeing this dip in the
Hmm.
whiskey market, women are the ones that are buying more of it than ever before. So these stereotypes will actually hurt a brand, because if a brand leans into it, I will just quickly not buy it and go for one of the other hundreds that are out there. So from a sales perspective, it can be highly problematic. But yeah, he was an idiot. And
Yeah. For sure. Like that's yeah, that's brand social media suicide, in my opinion. Um, and I do love how you both just checked your chests, and I know that's going to drive up our viewership right there.
I mean, I'm having to shave everything. Thank God I figured out where it's coming from. It's all this bourbon.
yeah, it's the bourbon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Kat, I know, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
you've been in the industry for a little while, right? Like, first, give us a quick little bit of context of what what you've been doing in the industry, and then I know you've got stories too.
yeah, and to Christy's point, like, it is nice to have the opportunity to educate someone, but it also gets a little exhausting sometimes. And she's more out there on social media than I am. I get the joy of firsthand experience, um, just dealing face to face with people's stupidity most of the time. And so I tend to sometimes just feel like it's easier to nod my head and keep it moving if it
Hmm.
comes to stupid people. But I have tenure in the alcohol industry. I started about 18 years ago. Did my internship with the Anheuser-Busch House in the Tri-Cities area of Tennessee, which is where I'm from. And that was 2008, whenever they first brought Fat Tire across the Mississippi. So it was that big craft beer boom. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, it was also a horrible time to graduate college. And so I ended up, instead of going into it, also, I was like 23 years old and I had no business working for an alcohol distributor. I realized that whenever there was a very infamous photo taken of me at a festival being rolled down Main Street on a dolly on top of a keg. And I was like, I don't think they're going to want to hire me for anything anytime soon. I was very much enjoying the college experience. We'll put it that way. So I continued to stay in restaurant, worked my way up into management. I actually was Yeehaw Brewing's tap room manager when they opened their flagship store. And then when they brought wine into Tennessee grocery stores, that's how I switched over into distribution. I did wine for like 6 years, got my WSET 1 and 2. Kind of assumed I was going to stay in wine. I moved to Nashville to work for a fine wine distributor, and then boom, COVID hit. Like I always say, it's 2 steps forward, 2 steps back with me, but we're, failing upward. And everything that I've always thought was like the worst thing that could happen has led me to something greater in the most backward way. So after COVID hit, that was when I kind of got my opportunity to jump over to supplier side of things. I've been strictly in whiskey for the last 4.5, 5 years, got my executive bourbon steward, and have really made the most strides, the most connections, the most networking on this side of things. And most recently was a casualty of the state of the industry. Got laid off from my job unexpectedly, But again, it's one of those things that wasn't performance based. You know, I understand businesses have to make decisions and restructures, and sometimes we don't know why. But it opened up the door for me to do something I'd been kicking around for about a year now, and that was jump over into entrepreneurship. At this point, I've worked in beer, wine, and spirits. I've kind of sold it all. I have great connections across the Southeast. And so now I've moved into consulting and again, signed my first client who's a 7th-generation Beam. Can't be too mad about that. And
Yeah.
have a couple of exciting other opportunities on the table. So now I have the leeway to talk about whatever I want, taste whatever I want, explore a little bit, and just kind of kick it around and see where it goes. So that's a kind of a long-winded answer to your question. I'm sorry to.
No, I wanted all of that. I think that's very relevant. And for you all taking notes at home, there are 2 executive bourbon stewards in here, and neither of them are me. So I'm surrounded by very, very smart, very, very beautiful women, and this is, I couldn't ask for a better Tuesday. So I'm glad you're both here.
Lucky you, lucky you.
Yeah. No, the guys are missing out. They really are. That's amazing, and I want to go ahead and apologize for all of us dudes out there who are just flat out a-holes who start drinking and then start scrolling and think that they can make a comment. And sorry about that, Christy. I like actually really from my heart. I know that stuff turns into actual content and it actually helps the cause more than it hurts it, but it's still really annoying. So
it is.
Yeah,
it's
dudes.
really annoying, but what I can say, it's less annoying, or I guess I've just developed a thick social media skin. You have to when you're on it as much as I am. What is more annoying is when it happens in person, especially at a distillery or a bar or something like that, and you have someone who is going to help you choose a more appropriate drink. I remember doing a tasting at a distillery, and I won't say which one. And I was there with a guy, and we were to the point where they were pouring whatever their cask strength was, and it was like 130-ish proof, something like that. And he poured for the guy I was with. The guy I was with, by the way, is not really a drinker. Like, he was there just to humor me. And then when he was about to pour mine, he was like, "Now, if you want to skip this one, I would understand." And I just looked at him and was like, "Why would I want to skip it?" So, well, this one's got a pretty high proof. So, I had to, in that moment, my first thought was just to say, okay, never mind. I don't want to try it. And then I was like, no, again, it was one of those days where I was feeling a little spicy. So I had to run through. Here are some of the things I've drank. Here are the bottles I have on my shelf. This is going to be nothing compared to that 162 proof Canadian whiskey that I drank 2 nights ago. So I'm pretty sure I can handle whatever you have. But those are the moments that are most aggravating because I loved what that distillery was pouring. I refused to buy anything from them after that exchange. And, we've since had conversations and I'm cool with them now, but it literally cost them some dollars on that day. And that's what I think brands are almost missing the boat on. They don't recognize the impact that's having.
Yeah. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I don't have that. Like, even if I thought that, I don't have the boldness to tell it. I wouldn't tell anybody that. That's just
keep your mouth closed.
Yeah, it's asinine. Kat, I want to get into. We were talking before the show, before we hit record. We want to get into some of the new stuff, or some of the some of the favorites that you all have. We just for our listeners, guys, we just put up a blog about 5 releases to look out for, and in honor of that, I would like to see what you ladies are looking forward to tasting. That's been released as of here recently in this first part of the year. And Kat, I want to start with you. I know you've been doing a little bit of research out there, drinking some good stuff. So, what do you got on your top 5 list?
Yeah, well, it is more of a top 4, but I think that they're so good we can just count for an extra one.
Sure.
Yeah, like I was saying before we got on, having one of the disadvantages of being a full-time employee for one brand has been that anytime that I'm drinking whiskey or talking about whiskey, it's always been for one brand. So I actually, even though it's my full-time job to work in bourbon, I don't get the opportunity to explore and play a lot like Christy does or like you do, because after I close out a 50, 60-hour week, the last thing I want to do sometimes is talk about whiskey. And so maybe I want to try something else. Maybe I just want a vodka martini, or maybe I want a glass of wine. So, so now I'm in the unique position to be playing catch up and get to explore some things. So something I did today was I went to see my friends at Cool Springs Wine and Spirits. I live down here in Franklin. My neighbor is actually Josh, who is their floor manager. He used to be GM over at Grapevine in Brentwood, and I've known him since I've been in Nashville. So gosh, like 7 years now. And so I texted him and I was like, hey, pull me some things that you guys have new in the store that are interesting. I want to come by and taste them and do a little research on it. So he pulled me 3 great things. And then of course I wanted to talk about, I told you guys about Jackson Purchase, which is what I'm currently drinking and is going to be brand new to market. Can't wait for you guys to try that, hopefully mid to end of May. You can go online and go ahead and be reading all about them in advance though. So I've already told you guys about that. So I'll kind of start with what I ran through at Cool Springs. The first one I tried was Montana Whiskey Company Blackfoot River Bourbon. Have you guys heard of this before?
No.
I haven't.
Okay, so
I love this.
It was totally new to me. The vessel that it's in is so unique. It looks like a little canteen. It's a you know, kind of like in the flavor of like tin cup style, but it's fully metal. It was a very light little whiskey. It's MGP, but then they're aging it in the Montana extreme weather. So it's getting a lot of those extreme sweeps. It was only 80 proof, but I'll tell you, it had a little bit of heat at the end. It was very light, 2 years old, but I think this is a perfect drinker. We're going into hot summer here in Nashville. So for me, I don't really want to get my brains busted out by a ton of rye, super syrupy. So I think this would be a great one for the summertime to mix into cocktails, especially it drinks a little bit hotter than I think the 80 proof. So it'll be good for mixing into cocktails. And then of course the vessel being all tin and metal, it's great for hiking, camping, festivals. So I thought it was really fun. And the price point was $36.99. So like,
wow,
can't go wrong with that, right? Just light, easy breezy. The second one that I got to try, have we lost Christy? Is she over there? Okay.
She's here. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Second one I got to try was actually a store pick that Cool Springs did from New Riff. So definitely a little hotter, 115 proof, 6 years old. Even though it was 115, it drank way easier. It was very well balanced. On the nose, it had this really sugary brown sugar intense sweetness, but the back end was a little bit drier. And I think that if it had lent itself on the back end to be as sweet as it was on the nose, it would have been too much. But yeah, it was very good, very dangerously easy to drink. Of course, I mean, I like New Riff, so can't complain about anything that they do. And then the price point, $59.99. So right on par with where it should be at 6 years old. It's a single barrel pick. And then finally, the last thing I tried, a little bit hotter still, 119 proof, and still being done by New Riff, I believe. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one as well. Silver Spring Sweet Rye. Have you heard of them from J.W. Kelly? So this was my first.
I haven't tried it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, so I tried it there. Again, great price point, $39.99. I think that this bottle was like 8 years old, maybe. It said that it was distilled in 2018, so, and just bottled. That would be an excellent price point for that. 65% rye, 20% malt, and 15% corn. So you were mentioning you're drinking rye. Terry, I got to ask you, are you of the camp that thinks rye is the thing?
My gateway bourbon has been rye from the jump. So I was a rye guy before I realized that a lot of guys only do rye when it's cold outside. So I've just been a rye fan from the jump. So it's habitual.
Yeah. I think every time I hear somebody like talking about rye as the next best thing, I'm like, well, where have you been?
Yeah.
Because we've all known that rye is delicious. But I do think that
it is spicy, and it does feel like I think you were spot on when you say it's a bit syrupy. It doesn't always work for, for hot days. Like the weeded bourbons are, the weeded bourbons at 90 proof, 80 proof are much better for summer sipping.
Yeah. Yeah, the Silver Springs was very good. Sweet rye, it was definitely that. Like a hot cinnamon candy. What were those called back in the
Oh, the Red
day?
Hots. Yeah.
Red
Yeah, red.
Hots. Yeah, very
Yeah.
much red hot caramel. But $39.99. And so, again, can't go wrong. Anywhere that's around that $30 to $40 price point, I'll try it all day long. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
was very pleased with what they pulled. And as someone who has spent the majority of my supplier career, and specifically the last, 5, 6 years in emerging brands, I like to try these lesser known things. I think that the big guys are getting plenty of free coverage from the blogs and the anticipation
Mm-hmm.
of being the unicorn. So I like to explore the emerging brands and see what's new out there, and be the first to try and promote those. So
And I love that. I think that's the great part about where we're at with the bourbon, the bubble, bursting, kind of, as it were, is that price points make it really easy for folks to experiment and kind of get in, that maybe were rail riders, in the world of bourbon, and wanted to try, but all the posts they see are the really high end, really expensive stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that, Cat. I want to try. I'm going to try all of those, and I've heard of all of them. I just haven't got a chance to try them. So I want to head down there to Cool Springs and check it out.
they have an extensive tasting bar. Definitely one of the better ones to be able to pop in and try pretty much anything that's on their shelf, unless it's something like crazy, allocated. So.
Yeah, I'm feeling a field
Nice.
trip coming on.
I would agree. I would agree.
Christy, what about you? What do you got on your top five or four?
So yes, yes. So first, one that you mentioned in the blog that everyone needs to go and read, the King of Kentucky releases. So
Mm,
Terry, I can't remember if you were on when we were talking about the three that they recently came out with, but I got to taste all three of those. And to Kat's
okay.
point, it reminded me that, chase flavor, not the flex, because those bottles, for how hard they are to get, I personally was a little disappointed. And that might be like the hot take. And I love King
Okay,
of
let's go.
Kentucky in general, but yeah, those the three that they just came out with recently, they were good. I wouldn't spend the money on them. I think there's some better things coming out from some of these craft and emerging brands. Um, that I'm going to really prioritize. So one of which is, we were just talking about rye. So Rare Character has a new rye that they've come out with, Gerst House, that is so incredibly delicious. And it is a rye that would work well for summer. It has this peach kind of flavor, which is not at all what I would typically expect from a rye. Like, I don't even know where it's getting that influence from, but it is so delicious and much lighter. You still get that full flavor, but you don't get that punch in the face that some ryes can give you. So I'm really excited about that and everything that Pablo is doing over at Rare Character. He's got some really cool stuff, including that hot dog bottle that I don't know what it tastes like. I just want one because how cool to put a hot dog label on a bottle like that. What I will say is, as good as the stuff that he makes is, his marketing is so incredibly phenomenal. Like, it really, really is. And that Costco bottle is now selling on secondary for like $1,000, because they thought to put the Costco hot. Oh, it's insane. It's insane. I sent
Crazy.
people like in cities where Costco's can sell liquor in the store. Like, I'm reaching out to everyone I know. If you see one of those bottles, get it for me. Like, I don't care what it costs. Da, 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 da. Yeah, can't find it anywhere. And yeah, now it's on secondary for like $1,000, which is crazy. But
That is crazy.
it's an interesting story. But anyway, his
I
ride, the
think
Gerst House. Go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry, Christy. I did not mean to interrupt you. I was just going
Oh,
to
it's okay.
say that is the biggest benefit to the bubble burst, I think, and the takeaway from what I got from the article on the magazine is that it's forcing this industry to get creative. It's forcing
Hmm.
a little bit of an antiquated good old boys club to start experimenting, start getting creative, start mixing things up, start
Mm-hmm.
making things approachable, and eye-catching. And so, I mean, that's a prime example of just how, as much as we want to pretend like it's about the juice that's in the bottle and not the label, and coming from wine, that was very much always a thing. But unfortunately, if you look at the statistics, yeah, the label has a ton to do with it. If you are one of a million things on a shelf, how are you going to set yourself apart if it's the same old, Times Roman spin on a font? Like what you got to draw somebody in and set yourself apart. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry to interrupt you, Christy. I just am so excited that the industry is getting a little bit more experimental and trying some new things and blending some new things and trying out new marketing. I just think it's all for the best, stick to
Oh,
the history and the historical aspect of it, but don't be afraid to get a little creative.
it absolutely is, and blending I think is a key part of that. Where even some of the sort of legendary historic labels are now focusing more on some of their blends as opposed to single barrels. And I think quite often with a blend, you get a more depth of flavor and you get a lot more interesting notes. So I am thrilled that more people are leaning into that. So another one, and it's another rye that I'm excited about. And again, it's another smaller brand, but that's kind of my jam these days. Archer Eland, which is a rye that I know I've talked about on here before, but they are coming out with their 2026 lineup, and they have one special release. All of them are 100% rye, but it is just delicious. And this is a small brand. It's made in collaboration with Middle West, so out of Ohio, and putting together some really neat things. And I think they're, again, appealing to the newer drinker. So they're making ryes that are much more approachable. Because if you think about, these brands wanting to capture these Gen Zers that aren't drinking as much, so they're not going to want something that is full of pepper and all of those kind of flavors. So Archer Eland is one that has a really cool rye that's coming out that I think is going to fly off the shelves once it hits it. So very excited about that. But then from one of the bigger brands, one that I am always excited about is Heaven Hill is leaning even more into some of their higher age statement stuff. So we've all seen their Heaven Hill 19 from last year was amazing, but they have I want to say it's 21 year. Don't quote me on that because, it's late in the day and I've been drinking. But I think it is a Heaven Hill 21 that I am excited about trying, which is different because I usually don't like things over 15 years. Oftentimes, when you get more than 15 years, you just, you're chewing on a tongue depressor. It just tastes oaky. But Heaven Hill is
Right.
one that I think tends to do higher age statements really well. So I'm excited about that one. And there is I just tried the foolproof Sazerac, the 125 on the Saz. I finally got my hands on some of that. I still don't have a bottle of it. Sazerac, call your girl. Because and so I am interested and looking forward to drinking more of that. Because that one was really good. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. Absolutely love it. So really cool that we are now seeing, and I think it just goes to the curse of the oversupply. We're going to see a lot more foolproof and cask strength things, I think, hitting the market, which I am super excited about. So even a Saz at 125, it has so much more kind of depth of flavor than the typical 100 proof. Just in general, I'm looking forward to some of those higher proof things that I think we're going to see more of because they've got it in the barrel. So you may as well bottle it and sell it so you can really stand out.
Yeah. Sure. I definitely want to try that Heaven Hill one too. They do have a good track record of doing the high proof stuff right.
Mm-hmm.
And I do kind of hover right around that, 100 proof. I do like a 90 to 120. So I'm right there in that market. So yeah, those are good ones. Uh, you guys need to send me your picks so that we can put these in the show notes so that folks can check these out. Because those are
Perfect.
great. I mean, they're great from price point to what's new. We talk a lot about the the pullback from the industry and certain suppliers either getting sold or going under or whatever the story is. We don't talk enough about the new stuff, and there's a lot to be excited about. Have you ladies heard about the new barrel bourbon cigar blend, and have you got a chance to try it yet?
Have heard, I have not tried, but I love a cigar blend, obviously. Um, so it is on my list of things to do over the next week. I know somebody who has some, I believe, so I'm going to hit them up. Actually, I will see them tomorrow. So thank you for the reminder. I need to send them a text. Hey, don't forget to bring that. Because, they're just always, Barrel puts out such great stuff.
Yeah, they
They're
do.
super consistent, I think. So I am really excited to try that one. Have you had it yet?
I haven't. I just got it sent to me by a buddy today, and I was like, oh, that I want to try that because I haven't had a cigar blend that I haven't liked, honestly.
Me neither.
And
Hmm.
I really don't know what the secret sauce is to it, but I'm in. Your boy's in. Sign me
What did
up.
you think the proof is on it, Terry?
Let me look. Let me see. Proof is 111, and they've not let the mash bill out, but uh, retail price is only $85.
See, that's not
I
bad.
think
That's
Not
not
everybody,
bad
bad.
for a good cigar blend.
Yeah.
no, everybody's having to get more competitive on the pricing, which is indicative of the state of the industry, but a damn good thing for consumers, right? No. Yeah, being on the sales side of things, if you start to cross the threshold of $59, unless it is something that's extremely, extremely organic movement, the store buyers don't want it on the shelf. It's
Hmm.
just what it is because people can't afford to do that right now. So it's a great time to be a consumer as far as being able to try some things that ordinarily would have been much more expensive. While gas and groceries are higher than ever before, your whiskey's going down, so you can drink
Right.
your financial troubles away.
Perfect. Well,
Scott
that
definitely
brings
need to
up.
get your. Oh, I'm sorry, Terry.
Well, I was
I
gonna
was
say
just
that
going to say.
brings up a really good point, and I want your opinion on this, cat, because the price point, being in sales and knowing what works and what works on the shelf, the creativity, and we've spoken about this in length on the show,
Hmm.
in about how we're excited to see the creativity and the collaboration. So my question to you is two-part. One is what works well on the shelf, which you kind of alluded to. If you can elaborate on the price point, uh, where that is in people's, as far as choice goes, is that moving more than the bigger labels, and how does that stack up against some of the creative stuff that we see or are starting to see from your experience, Kat?
Well, the old trope of liquid to lips is there for a reason. That is the number one mover in retail and behind the bar. No matter how much something costs, whether it's $20 a bottle or $120 a bottle, people don't really want to spend money on things that they've never tried before. So that
Yeah.
is
Hmm.
first and foremost always the best marketing dollars that anyone can spend on a brand is those in-store tastings, giving consumers the opportunity to smell, touch, taste, and have an interactive experience. That's always my first suggestion to any brand that's in the market is to throw all your money at that before you do anything else. Um, Obviously, shelf placement. When I was in college, my minor was advertising, and the thing that was so fascinating to me was the psychology behind consumers that we're being advertised to and don't even realize it by things
Hmm.
and just the whole science that goes behind that, and the way that they can study it, and where your eyes naturally go, and the amount of dollars that go behind those placements on the shelves, especially in big stores and things like that. So, of course, you want to be at that eye level, and then having again those silent sellers, shelf talkers, anything that'll draw the eye from the consumer naturally to your product as opposed to the thing that you're sitting beside. Are you comparatively placed beside where you want to be at? Is your brand side by side with something, and maybe a dollar cheaper, than your competitor, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where you want to be at? But we don't always control of those sort of things in the retail stores, which is why it's so important to have feet on the ground. People like me that are coming there and checking to say, hey, this brand actually needs to be over in your Tennessee section because it's
Hmm.
going to get lost Kentucky, it doesn't stand out, it doesn't fit here, those kinds of things. So other than that, yeah, I think that liquid to lips is the number one old trope.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. What, and this is a question for both of you. What's been your favorite either collaboration or favorite creative thing thus far? And I know I did not for you guys listening at home, I'm going to give them some time and just let you know that I did not give them this question in advance. So
yeah, there was no
this
prep.
is
There was no prep.
there's no prep. This is feet to the fire right here. What is it that's out there that you're like, man, that's a mind blowing collaboration, or that's something very creative and that I want to get my hands on?
Well, mine,
can I actually be? Sorry, Christy.
No, go for it. Go ahead.
If I can be a little bit self-indulgent, and this is actually not necessarily out there anymore, but it's something I'm very proud of. It was a collaboration that I facilitated whenever I worked for Log Still Distillery, and we were talking about gin earlier, Christy. Yeah. So Log Still Monks Road, they have a barrel finished gin that is spectacular. Very different. Have you had it yet, Christy? I know you said you had some terrible gins, which we all have had terrible.
Yes. I don't think I've had that one. I've heard that it's good. A few people have recommended it to me, so I've heard it's good.
It is very good. It is finished in their wheated whiskey barrels, and so it gives it. I mean, you can make an old fashioned with it. You'd never know that it was gin. And to your point, the first alcohol I ever drank, just for the record, was gin. And I was in like 7th grade, and me and my friends snuck into her grandma's liquor cabinet. And I did not drink gin again until I was like 30 years old, because I was like, this was the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth. I've clearly moved past that pretty quickly as far as with alcohol. But yeah, but Monks Road makes a fantastic barrel-aged gin. And whenever I was working for them, I knew the guys at Black Abbey Brewing here in Nashville. Carl was a huge gin fan, and I facilitated a collaboration with them. And they aged a beer in our barrel finished gin barrels, and they called it Origin. And it had this great packaging because the Monks Road label and Black Abbey were very similar. And it was a great opportunity for promotion into the beer aisle with our brands. And it was just a fantastic limited release beer and something that I was super proud of. So again, just to be self-indulgent, that's probably my favorite one, just because I got to stick my name all over it. So
very cool. So mine isn't as much of a collaboration as it is just a creative thing. So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna throw it in there. We've talked a lot about cigar blends. I love cigar blends. I have a long list of favorites of them. This one, though, is not a cigar blend. It is actually called a blunt blend. So I will, I won't go into what it is designed to be paired with, but Dark Arts comes out with their blunt blend every year. I think this is their 3rd year for it. It always comes out around April 20th, so they drop it around 4/20. I just got my bottle of it, and it is so incredibly good. So I am super excited about that. And what I love about it is just that creativity of it and the acknowledgement of this whole segment of the market. I mean, we've talked before about people being California sober and how that is affecting the spirits industry in general. So I feel like Dark Arts said, you know what, if that's what you're already doing, let's make something that we think is going to go great with that. And their master distiller is very transparent. He's like, look, I made something to go with what it is I'm doing every day. So it tastes phenomenal. If you've not met him, he is so much fun. Terry, we met him briefly at KBF last year.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And so I just got my latest bottle of their blunt blend. It is so good. And again, that's the kind of creativity that I really appreciate about this industry. But more importantly, I think it's one of the things that these smaller craft distilleries have the ability to do. They can be more nimble, they can respond to the market, and they can do just some really cool and innovative things that, Heaven Hill's not coming out with a blunt blend. You're not going to see a blunt blend in the BTAC. You're not going to see that next to your Eagle Rare bottle. But Dark Arts did it and it tastes great and it's interesting. And that alone, and thinking about how do you make your bottle stand out on a shelf, if you see cigar blend, cigar blend, cigar blend, blunt blend, you're grabbing it every time. Just because you want to know what it is and how interesting it is. So I've got to give them credit for it. Plus, it happens to just taste really good. But that's, I'm really appreciative of those distilleries that are doing things like that.
Yeah. I think that's Kat, we've talked about this on the pod to bring you up to speed. Like the collaboration and the creativity is I think it's the fruit of the shrink of the industry. And if the brands that are doing it, honestly, the smaller brands are more agile in that way. Like they can think it and do it much faster than the larger brands can. And there's some larger brands out there that are doing some cool stuff too. But yeah, I just think it's super interesting. And as somebody who is in advertising and in marketing, who stands on the podium of collaboration all the time, the magic that comes out of that is, I mean,
Phenomenal.
it's hard to compete with.
Yes.
So
It's the Tennessee
as much
Trail
as
bottle.
yeah,
If you,
Tennessee Trail
sorry,
bottle.
the Oh, sorry. I know. I think there's a delay on my mic. I got to figure out what's going on with it. But the Tennessee Trail, speaking of collaboration, 12
Yeah,
different distilleries within the Tennessee Trail all got together. Everybody brought one barrel. They dumped them together. They didn't blend them. So, it wasn't where they're tasting to kind of figure out a percentage. Everybody dumped their full barrel into a big old bowl, stirred it up, and bottled it. And it's really good. That's one of those, it's almost like the ultimate infinity bottle in a way. It could have been really good or really bad. It turned out really good, but from a collaboration standpoint, again, in an industry where we need to figure out how do we make Tennessee stand out in the whiskey world when everybody thinks Kentucky, but the Tennessee Trail and Tennessee distilleries and Tennessee whiskey in general is a category that is doing really well and people are interested in. These 12 distilleries came together and they made this unique blend that will never exist again. And it also speaks to just the collaboration that is so common in this industry. Proceeds went to the Tennessee Trail, and of course, each distillery got their little piece of it. But it's just a really cool way to work together to create a spirit that would not exist otherwise, and to do it across 12 distilleries. I don't know that has ever been done before. So it is super innovative. It is super collaborative. And thankfully they came up with a really good bottle.
yeah. I want to try it. I want to try that in the blunt blend. If I'm honest, you guys are giving me a whole bunch of homework to do.
Come on over to the house. I got them all. Come on over.
I liken it to kind of like with me. I'm single, I don't have kids. So I can feel free to do a lot of things because the fallout is only going to affect a very small fraction of my life. It's going to affect me, right? Whereas someone that has a family and wives and children might not be so inclined to take risks. They're going to be a little bit more calculated. They're going to think further ahead of like, how is this going to affect more than just me? So these brands that are extremely integrated, that have all this historical significance and they're so far stretched and their image is so ingrained into the culture, they're a little bit less likely to experiment and take those risks. Whereas these guys are like, you know what? I did this on a hope, a prayer, and like, $50,000 that the bank loaned me on good faith. And like, if it doesn't work out, then like, what's the difference? We'll make another barrel and, keep it moving. Also, like, some bad press isn't going to be as bad if it doesn't work out, right? They can quickly pivot something else pretty quickly that might replace it. So, I think that it's a good space to be in, to have that low risk factor relatively. There's I've been talking extensively with Larrikin, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with
Oh, yeah.
them, but getting to know me and Greg, and they have some really things. And that's something, speaking of the Derby, I'm dying to try their rose water release that they do. Have you guys had that?
Yes. Yes, it is really, really good. Greg, first of all, Greg is just a personality unto himself. Like Greg's one of those people that could have a podcast by himself because he's just a character. Um, but that is really good. And again, to go back, their cigar blend is one of the most unique, I think, on the market. So Larrikin is doing
That.
some great stuff.
Yes, and again, I hate to keep going back to packaging and all that stuff, but again, coming from sales side of things, that is something that I always think about. Their packaging is so cool that it stands out. It has these beautiful color concepts that draw I don't want to say the female eye, but like they're not as overtly manly, but it's still a very approachable bottle that blends those things. And every single bottle, it just blends so beautifully on the shelf. Their sets look so good. And Katie I haven't had the chance to meet Greg personally yet, but Katie and I had lunch on Friday, and what a just absolute doll and huge supporter of women. And they just literally have this amazing story and this really cool dream that, like, I am a huge champion for that brand. I think that they're wonderful.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I want to make sure. I know we're getting down to the wire here on time. I want to make sure two things happen. One is I want to hear Christy's encounter. Christy, you're on the mic.
Yes.
You're on stage.
Perfect.
Everyone's
Perfect.
gathered around. We're sitting crisscross
Yes.
applesauce.
Yes.
Auntie Christy, take us
Gather
there.
around. Gather around. Although first I do have to say, because I just looked up, you were talking about the Barrel Company cigar blend. It is a blend of between 7.5 year and 18-year bourbon that have been aged in Maduro, Armagnac, rum, and Hungarian oak casks. I want to try it even more. Like, I was already excited about it,
Right?
but this just sounds delicious.
We
So
gotta find
yeah,
it. I need to find it.
that
And
is
get it.
that is
Yeah.
moving up on my list of things to drink. But my encounters. So I have not been traveling over the last couple of weeks. I am going somewhere this weekend that will, I think, give us a really cool story. But even at home, I still get to do some fun things. And the fun thing for this one is a barrel pick with our friends over at Silver Belly. So I think there's going to be an article in the print magazine. Y'all read all about it, quite literally. But Robbie Goldsmith, who's the CEO of Silver Belly. And for those who don't know, Silver Belly is Alan Jackson's brand. So this is what their label looks like. Barrel picks are always a lot of fun, but this one was the barrel pick I just did was even more special because A, Robbie was a part of it. But B, this is going to go in their new facility that is coming to downtown Nashville in June. So they are opening a tasting room downtown. They are, and God love them for trying this. They're planning to have their grand opening in the middle of CMA Fest. So yeah, and when I looked at him, I was like, Robbie, I see what you're trying to do. Like, that also sounds a little scary to me. And he's like, yeah, it sounds a lot scary to me. But what a crowd to kind of debut. I'm hoping they're able to pull it off and open at least a day or two before so they can test some stuff out. But being able to do that, I did it with some of my friends from the Whiskey House. But knowing that we were picking with the CEO of the company, Robbie, and their new, they have a new master blender that I don't think is public knowledge yet, but we may be able to put it in the notes by the time the episode drops. So I can't say his name, but he is a true icon in Nashville within the world of whiskey. So him being a part of this brand is going to be huge for them. So he was a part of it, and it's going in their tasting room. So y'all go when it opens, try it. If you love it, just know I had a hand in it. If you don't, then I didn't, and I'm just playing. I wasn't even there. But it was really cool. It was a great experience. Again, it was a cool way. I think I was there last Tuesday or Wednesday. It's a great way to spend like a Tuesday afternoon. And again, I think a lot of people are going to absolutely love what they're putting out now. So it was a lot of fun, very fun.
It's awesome. Christy's Encounters never disappoints.
I'm I
I'm
stay in the
excited.
streets.
I'm excited to try it.
Yes,
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you always have a fresh story for us, but keep them coming.
I
Well,
will.
well
I
done.
will.
Well done.
I'm like Kat. I'm single. I mean, I have a kid, but she's 22. Like she doesn't even. She's doing her own thing. So yeah, I got a whole lot of time and flexibility here. Not as much money as
Start
I would
painting
like, but I
music
have
and
time and
listening
freedom.
to yeah.
Yes, we're
What'd
gonna
you say,
start
Kat?
going out.
Yeah, you should. You should. No, that's awesome. All right. Kat, I want you to let everybody know one what you're into now, and one where folks can find you, so uh, that they can enjoy the content that you produce because you do some cool stuff and you're out there. I know you and Christy have done a couple things together, with the Women in Whiskey and some of the events that you got going on. So yeah, let everybody know where they can find you and what you're into.
Yeah, so like I said, this consulting thing is pretty much brand new since mid to end of February. But I did start a consulting firm called Bon Vivant. And for the uninitiated, I am very clearly not French, from the mountains and sticks of Appalachia. But a bon vivant, for those that don't know, is a person who loves the good life. And so all things, especially with regards to food, drink, travel. And so I thought, my God, that's me. So it is spelled BONNEVIVANTE. That is the female iteration. So you can look me up. My website should be done this week. And then, but I do have an Instagram at Bon Vivant LLC. I am, again, I kind of explore a little bit of everything because I have sold wine, spirits, beer, all the things I try to enjoy. I just went to Asheville this past weekend and kind of did a little recap of that. I need to get a little bit better about the social media of it. I need to hire a young kid is what I need to do. I need to hire like a 23-year-old to run my social media and just do it for me because I got chastised for putting the like double space in my sentences. They're like, somebody told me people can tell how old you are because you put the extra space in there. And I'm like, I was taught to type. I am old. I can't help it.
I hear about that all the
So
time from
anyway,
my daughter.
yeah, I'm like, nobody told me I was going to relearn how to type at 40 years old. I can't do that. Like, there's just so
Mhm.
much brain width, and I have ruined a lot of brain cells. Okay, so uh, but I am talking to a lot of exciting brands. There's a lot of exciting opportunities on the table. That's the cool thing about this, man. I just have so much faith in the universe that everything's happening the way it's supposed to, and the opportunities are going to keep coming. Christy, actually, this Friday, we're meeting at the Leapers Fort Tasting Room. It's going to be me, Devin, Karen, from
Mhm.
that was on the
Yeah,
panel.
Spirited Collective.
And yes, and Keely. And so I would love for you to come. We're meeting well, I probably should have. Hey, nobody
That is
stalk us, but I'll text you.
no. Devin actually
This
sent me a
listen. This will
text.
air
So
after that. You'll be fine. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Devin sent me a
Yeah, this
text. So yes, I will probably be there depending on I have an event Friday night. So I got to see how the timing and all works. But I very well may be there.
well, please come. This is supposed to be just like me and Karen getting to know each other. Now it's turned into like a whole group of fabulous women. So I'm like, well, bring it on,
That's awesome.
I think that's great. So
Oh, it
Yes,
is.
yes.
That's
And
exactly.
I know
Yeah.
all of them are phenomenal. You will love each and every one of
this whole industry has been so, I cannot honestly think the bourbon women, like obviously that specific organization, but just the women in this industry are so powerful and so warm and welcoming. It's just
them.
like
Hmm.
crazy. The people that don't even know me, Morgan Salzman with Liquid Assets just
Yes.
reached out on
Yes.
LinkedIn. Has
She's
been a
awesome.
godsend. Just like the random people that have somehow I'm like, how do you even know me? I have no idea, that have passed
Morgan
along
is
opportunities.
phenomenal.
She is. She's great.
So kind and so smart. Like, I'm like, good Lord, how do you have it together? Like that. But just everybody is so great about coming together. The women in this industry are truly spectacular. I mean, I don't like to, and I know Terry, we're running short on time, but I just
Oh,
want to
you're
get on
good.
about this for a second. But like, I don't like to lead with my vagina. Okay. Like, I don't like to lean on that as like to give me some kind of an edge. Okay.
Hmm.
So I hate to be like, as a woman in this industry all the time or whatever, but there is a unique experience with being a woman in male dominated industries that it's just a shared, I don't want to say a trauma bond, but we do all face the same things. There's things that you think about that men don't ever have to think about when they're sitting in the same rooms. And so even talking about the guy, Christy, who left you that comment, he would be horrified with me because I am very, I like to call it European in the way I smoke. My mother would call it trashy because I love to rip a drunk cig. So that guy would have a very big problem with me. I'm not even classy enough to do cigars. I am full on just Marlboro baby. Just
He'd be all right.
but
He'd get over it.
he would get over it. They smell even worse. But anyway, but yes, it's one of those things that like you have to be on this side of things to understand sitting in a room where you don't know things, but you don't want to raise your hand and ask because you're immediately kind of already at a disadvantage, and then they're going to write you
Mm-hmm.
off and think you're just the dummy that doesn't know. But then you genuinely are smarter than half the people in the room that got there because they were somebody's nephew or in the same fraternity or whatever may have happened. It's just, and so there is this really cool, unique bond from the women's side of this thing that I cannot be, and it's really shown its true colors since February of like, man, people
Yes.
coming together, coming out of the woodwork to help me out when I didn't even ask for it. I will forever be grateful for this network of people, truthfully. And not just women,
Oh, yeah.
Terry, like you, even you, I'd love to meet with you and, guide you on the process. Like, it's just great. This whole community is fantastic.
Well, Terry's one of the
It
good ones.
is.
I will say Terry is phenomenal. Like we did
Yeah.
Terry and I've known each other for years, but then we did KBF together last year, and it
Mhm.
was just, I mean, it was, he made the weekend a lot more fun, and we got to hang out and do interviews together and all that, and he will jokingly say he was like my security at some point, but
That wasn't a
Terry is,
joke. I literally was your security. I was the space between keeping people out away from Christy. It was awesome. I
it
loved
was,
it.
but it was so much
Uh,
fun.
it was
We'll be
fun,
back.
and I'm
We'll
looking
do it
forward
again
to
this
it.
year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it again this year. Guys, you guys are awesome. This has been a fun show. I really appreciate Kat. We really appreciate you being here. It's an honor. You're welcome here anytime you want to pop on. Uh, what a great show. So, um,
Yes.
and I hate to cut it short, but we do have to go. But before we do, Christy, I need you to give that plug for the event that's happening real quick.
Yes, yes. So May 2nd, it is Kentucky Derby Day. If you are in or around Nashville, head over to Single Malt Cigar Lounge. Y'all know bourbon, cigars, and horse races go together, like whatever, peanut butter and jelly and all that good stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is going to be Stable Reserve. Bourbon is going to be kind of the featured bourbon there. But we're going to watch the races. There'll be a best dress contest. There'll be a best hat contest. You're going to be able to predict the winners, and there'll be prizes for whomever predicts the most winners accurately. I'm going to try really hard to get Terry and Charlie over there. So maybe we can have like the Blind Tiger kind of collective there in one
Let's
place, because
go.
that would be really cool. So yeah, it is going to be a lot of fun. May 2nd from 3 to 8, and it's free. Like it's free. You don't even have to buy a ticket. You just need to show up, preferably show up dressed like you're going to Derby. Be ready to have a good time. It's going to be great laughs, good music, and it's, what do they say? It's the best 2 minutes of the year. That's what they call the Derby. So yeah, apparently it's going to be the best 2 minutes of the year. But it'll be a lot of fun. It's one of the first events that I'm putting on here in Nashville, so I am super excited about it, and can't wait to have everyone come out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I think that'd be really cool. We should all make an event of it. Yeah, great show, guys. Really appreciate you being here. For our listeners out there, hey, we couldn't do this without your support. So we're thankful for you listening and for sharing this with your friends. We ask that you do hit the subscribe button and that you do continue to share it with your friends, because we couldn't do what we do without you. So make sure you do that for us. On behalf of Joe Beecroft, who could not be here, and Charlie Sells, CPH, and our now our good friend Kat Scalf for dropping in. This is Terry Bargy, and this has been the Blind Tiger Collective. We appreciate you being here, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers.